Welcome to Sales 101. Anybody who's been thinking about getting into real estate, we've had some people reach out to us. Hey, thinking about getting into real estate, would love to get into real estate, don't know what I need to do, don't know how I need to do it. So, ideally, what I want to do here is really just combine a couple of the main points. We're going to call it Sales 101. I got my trusty notepad here. I don't know if you know me, but if you do know me and you've worked with me, you understand that I go through notepads like it's an addiction. So here's the thing. I write down my tasks every single day, go through all that stuff. And that's something that is going to be on this, but we already covered a video on consistency, the law of averages and all that good stuff. If you haven't watched that video, you definitely need to, because it is a step to how to be better at sales and just in general in life. These are the categories that we're going to go into: confidence, training, calls and marketing, understanding what a smokescreen is versus a grenade, be ready, build trust, consistency. So the biggest thing that we want to touch base on is a lot of sales and a lot of marketing is all about confidence. So this is the first thing on the list here. And a lot of times when we're looking at trying to grow something that we may not naturally have, or maybe we do naturally have it. Me growing up, I didn't naturally have it. And then it started to come as I got older, and then it really started to come into play as I hit probably 17 to 20, somewhere in between there. I started working out, started taking care of myself, started paying attention to what I was involving my brain, so my actual mind diet. Started growing on how to what is confidence and how to learn it and how to be confident. And a lot of that is going out, putting yourself in uncomfortable situations and showing yourself that you can handle those. Jiu-jitsu is a really good thing for building confidence. Being able to go through the process of, I said I'm going to do something, and you can start small and then actually do what you said you were going to do, and you start building trust in yourself, which allows you to start feeling confident in your abilities. And so when we're talking about sales, that is a lot to do with sometimes you got to fake it, right? Your first phone call, your first cold call, you don't feel confident, right? Because it's new and it's something different. So you have to pay attention to your tonality. You have to pay attention to how you're representing yourself. Like, how are people portraying you? And so you have to be very socially aware of how these things are happening. And you can start doing that by paying attention to how you speak, what you say, when you say it. How does it sound when I'm on a phone call? So record yourself, listen to yourself, get better, which leads us to the next thing is training and learning. For me, training and learning is going to be so massively important because of the fact that you can go so far by just reading and listening to books and absorbing the knowledge and then putting action behind it and actually growing that knowledge and testing it, right? You learn something, you apply it. You learn something, you apply it. And if it works, great. If it doesn't work, then pull it out of the book. But by taking things from people who have been down the road or learned and you're talking to mentors, you're doing all of the things that you need to be doing. And as people give you information, you figure out how you can apply it and then literally just apply it and see if it works. If it works, great. If it doesn't, you pull it out of the action box and replace it with something else. That's what this whole process is. That's what learning is. We're taught in school that, you get taught something, you put it on a piece of paper, and then now you know it. Learning in your career or whatever, it's literally about how can you apply that action, right? It's the same process. It's just action. It's not just putting it on paper. It's how can I perform this? The deeper you go, the better you will get. And so that would be the learning and training process. For me, I had to learn discipline. It's not something I grew up with. It's something that I had to learn, and I have to continuously put into my life and put myself in these positions where I have to be disciplined. Because if I don't, then I don't grow and I don't get better and I'm not consistent. So there are things that I have to put in place in my life so that I don't fall into what I used to be when I was in high school or right after high school. I used to sleep until 12 o'clock, wake up, go to the office and think that I was actually doing something for my first year in the real estate business. I've got to put in an alarm just like this. When the Alexa goes off on the alarm, it literally says, they are all counting on you. It's time to get up. In my mind, the moment I hear that, I literally say to myself, get up. And then I start getting up. I start waking up. I start making movement. I start taking a deep breath to understand where I'm at. I go to my garage gym and I get after it, and then I go to work. But these are the things that I've got to put in place so that I don't fall. And so I had to learn that. And so if you are in a place where you are like, I don't know how to get disciplined. Well, go to the number one book about discipline, read it, and apply it. If you're learning about sales, Google top books for sales and start absorbing that knowledge and applying it. The next one is going to be sales and marketing, like calls and marketing. The biggest thing that you can do inside of your sales career is learn that nothing else matters other than people have got to know you. If people don't know you, they can't buy from you. And if they can't buy from you, you can't make any money. You can't provide for your family. On top of that, you don't actually have the ability to be able to actually help people. And that's literally what we're trying to do here, is we're trying to make money while we're helping people do what they need to do, and then grow both of those aspects so good that we never have to work again, or we are able to multiply everything that we do. The whole concept of all of this is people have got to know you. And so you've got to put in your task, your daily task list, things that people find you. People are able to get to know you and authentically get to know you. And so that's one of those things that for us, it's phone calls, right? You've got to be willing to get on those phones. You've got to pick up the phone. You've got to make those calls, and you've got to contact people. The second form is marketing. You've got to do some sort of marketing. If you aren't doing marketing, then guess what? No one knows you authentically. You can pick up a phone and make a phone call to somebody and hopefully get a sale. But if people get to see who you are and what you represent and what you bring to the table just by seeing a piece of content, you're more likely going to be able to get in front of that person. Those people are going to trust you because you're putting out authentic content. That's the number one thing. So many people miss all of that, or take in all of these other things and miss that part. There is no replacement for marketing and phone calls. There is no replacement. And if there is, tell me about it, because I'm more than willing to add it to my list. The fourth piece, once you start making phone calls, you start getting in touch with people, you start having conversations, guess what happens now? Now you've got to be able to determine whether it's, and I teach this to my guys, you've got to be able to determine, is something a smokescreen or is it a grenade, right? In real estate, there's people that you're going to call and they're going to say, hey, I'm at work, you can't talk right now. Are they actually at work? Are they actually not willing to talk to you? Are they not able to talk to you? Because to me, if you pick up the phone, we're having a conversation, and we're going to have a conversation until we get hung up on, right? Like, that's the whole point of what this conversation's about. And a lot of the times we don't get hung up on, but people are either at work, they're in a meeting, whatever. I'm going to try and have that conversation if you picked up the phone, because I generally know that I am the best option for this person if they are looking to buy a house. I'm going to do everything I need to do to make sure that they are taken care of. And I can't say that for everybody else. That is what it takes. That's how confident I am. I know all of the information I've learned, training and learning. And now it's up to me to determine whether this person is actually super busy and they can't talk to me and they need to schedule a new time. Or are they saying that they're at work, but they're not actually work, they're in bed, and we have time to talk. Right? So that's your first smoke screen that you're going to run into, is when people say, hey, I can't talk right now, I'm at work. So that's when you're on calls. The next one is going to be when you're negotiating. Is this a smoke screen or a grenade? Things are going to come up in negotiations where people say, okay, well, this is our bottom line, right? Is that a smoke screen or is it a grenade? If it is a grenade, then you don't want to step on it and have everything blow up in front of you. But if it is a smoke screen and they just threw that out there just to kind of see if you're willing to just not walk anymore, guess what? That's fine too, but you need to be able to recognize when that's the case. You get that from learning and experience. The next piece is going to be when you have a deal and everything's going great, then something pops up. It could be a finance issue. It could be a housing issue. It could be something inside the frame of real estate and people, which is very, very wide. Inside of that event, let's say something bad happens inside the home and the roof falls in. Is that a grenade? Is that a dead deal? Some people would say yes, but I don't see it as a dead deal. I see it as a smoke screen. This is something we've got to get through to get to the other side, but I'm not going to blow up everything around me. But there's other times where there's financing issues and let's just say someone went out and bought a brand new car that costs more than the house, they now don't have credit or something happens. And now, is this a grenade or is it a smoke screen? Well, we're gonna tread as if it is a smoke screen, and then we're gonna make sure it's not a grenade. But more than likely, if it is, then we will make the adjustment moving forward. So there's a lot of things you've got to learn in that concept, but that is a very good thing that I've learned, started to understand over the past 13 years, that this is not as bad as it seems, even though it seems like the world is falling apart. The next thing is be ready. I see so many agents that are doing all these other things, but then they set an appointment and the appointment's for today at 2:00 and they're in a hoodie. You are not ready. You cannot consider yourself ready. Be ready all of the time, no matter what. I keep a white t-shirt and a blazer always at my office, period, point blank, just in case I set an appointment, or maybe I forgot about an appointment, or maybe I have somebody that I've met and they're like, hey, I can meet in 10 minutes. I'm going on that appointment and I'm going to be ready. I'm going to make sure that I brush my teeth. I make sure that I look good. I make sure that I'm taken care of physically, mentally, and that I'm so ready to go on that appointment that you're not going to believe. I'm going to prep my material before I go on that appointment. I'm not going to BS my way through the appointment. Sometimes you have to, but if I can control the ability to have information, I'm going to take that information with me. Right? I'm going to know the information if I can. That is about being prepped. So the best thing at the end of the day is what you can do is be ready for anything at any moment. That is going to give you the most possible chance to win. The next one is building trust. This is something that takes time, right? When you're dealing with something that most people are going to spend the most amount of money on in their life, their largest asset that they're going to bring into their portfolio, you've got to understand that this takes trust. And it's hard for someone to trust someone who is not confident. I'm going to be honest. But on the back end of that, how do you build trust with somebody that you don't know? It's about understanding that all of this is about trust. How do you get someone to trust you? There's only one way that you can do that. And it's about being worthy of being trusted. And if you can say that I do what I say that I'm going to do, I'm responsive, I have the ability to get you what you need as soon as you need it. I am confident. I'm not only confident in myself, but also in my abilities. I'm confident in what I bring to the table. I'm confident that I'm going to give you trust that you're going to be doing the same thing, right? It's all about how much can you show up and how much can you bring to the table before that door is even open. Do what you've got to do to make sure that you are someone who is worthy of being trusted, and then you will build that trust naturally. But it goes a long way of being confident, doing what you said you're going to do, being responsive, and crazy part about all of this, just being in real estate alone, picking up the phone. They think that they don't have to. They think that they get weekends off or whatever it is. Be available to pick up that phone. If you're not available, you're not going to get phone calls. If you're not getting phone calls, you're not getting business. If you're not getting business, you can't take care of your family. You can't take care of clients. Build trust by action, not just what you say. So we've done all of those things, right? You're implementing all of those things. We're working on it. We're building our business, right? The next piece that we've got to go into is understanding that time is money. And yes, that is a generic slogan that people pass around, but genuinely in sales, time is money. If you're on the phones, if you get that one person on the phone, that one old lady that never wants to stop talking or whatever, you've got to be able to understand that you've got to be present. You've got to have that conversation, but understand that you've also got to move on to the next phone call, right? But you have to do it respectfully, and you have to be willing to have that conversation. So understand that time is money. So when people come into your office and they want to chit chat, you've got to be able to shut that down sometimes. You've got to be able to adjust yourself, be confident enough in yourself to understand that things you've got going on cost you money. If you take a whole day in sales and don't do anything, you've just costed yourself money. You just spent, let's just say a day is worth $10,000. You just wasted $10,000 in that day. Be understanding that every day costs money, and you've got to be able to deposit into that bank account every single day. And the only way that you can do that is by being consistent, showing up, and giving the action that the day requires. Time is money to other people as well. So show up on time. Be present in that conversation. If you're there, be there for that reason. Don't be, in la la land worried about some other stuff. Be present where you're at. Focus on the conversation at hand. Make sure that that person understands that you understand that they have a valuable time, that their time is valuable just like yours is. And it's time to be able to make sure that you are making movements forward inside that conversation. The next building block here is going to be consistency. You can do all of these things half-assed, or you can do all of these things part-time, and they're not going to be effective. You can do everything right half of the time and it not be as effective as if you did them every single day. Sales is like shaving. You've got to shave every day or you're gonna look like a scrub. And the same thing happens with real estate, with sales. You've got to be so focused on this game. You've got to be willing to give this thing 7 days a week if you actually want these things. It's 8 o'clock on a Saturday night and I'm at the office with one of my guys. You've got to be willing to give this game the respect that it deserves. The moment that you don't give it the respect, it's going to go somewhere else. It's just like money. Consistency is the number one thing that is going to be the most impactful process in your life. You are either going to be consistent with good things, you are going to be consistent with bad things. You've got to make that choice of which route you're going to go and be present and do those things you've got to do. That's all I got. That's Sales 101. That's the beginning run of it. We put this together briefly today, but I think this is going to be a very solid first start to Sales 101, Sales 102, 103. If we end up going there, if you guys like the content, let us know. More than happy to answer any questions or go deeper on whatever it may be. If you find this helpful, please, man, if you have someone who's getting into sales or thinking about getting into sales, send them some of our content. That's what we're here for, right? We don't want to just be the real estate people. We want to be the real estate people for sure, but we also want to be able to help people that are coming into the game, right? Been in sales for 13 years. This is all I've really known up to this point, and there is nothing I would change about this process and the things that I've learned. Talk to you soon.